My girlfriend told her friends, "Oh, poor guy, he can't even afford an engagement ring." Then they all started laughing. I didn't say a single word. I just stood up and walked away. I never thought that silence would lead to the moment that changed everything, but it did. One day, she showed up at my office, and the second she saw what was happening inside, the smile she came in with completely vanished. I'm 29, a software engineer working at a tech startup in Seattle. Natalie and I had been together for 3 years. 3 years filled with weekend hikes, slow Sunday mornings, and long conversations about a future we both acted like was already guaranteed. I genuinely loved her. I really did. She worked in marketing at a small boutique agency downtown. Her closest friends were Lauren, Brittany, and Samantha, a tight group from college who met up every couple of weeks for brunch or drinks. I had met them a handful of times over the years, maybe 4 or 5. They were always polite in that distant way, smiling, but never really pulling me into anything real. It always felt like I was just there, not fully included. We had been loosely talking about marriage for about 6 months, nothing official, just those late-night conversations where you start imagining a life together. She would bring up rings sometimes, show me posts on Instagram, point out designs she liked whenever we passed jewelry stores. I would just listen, nod, smile, and keep it in mind. What she didn't know was that I had been saving quietly for over a year, not just for a ring, but for a down payment on a house. My parents died in a car accident when I was 25, and they left me a small inheritance. It wasn't a fortune, but it gave me something solid to build on. I was careful with it, disciplined. I also took freelance coding work on the side, sometimes working late into the night to finish projects. I was saving almost 40% of everything I earned each month. My goal wasn't just to buy a ring. I wanted to build a life, stability, a home we could actually grow into together. But I never told her about any of it. I've always been private with money, even with people close to me. I grew up being told that money changes how people see you, how they treat you. Maybe that belief cost me something. Maybe I should have been more open. But I wanted her to love me for me, not for what I had saved or what I could provide. Everything started falling apart one Saturday afternoon in late September. Natalie invited me to join her and her friends at a rooftop bar in Capitol Hill. I wasn't really in the mood. I had been coding all morning, stuck on a frustrating bug, mentally drained, but she kept insisting. "Come on, just for an hour. They really want to see you. Lauren even asked about you." I didn't believe that, but I went anyway because of her. The place was crowded when we arrived. Music and voices blending together, the city skyline glowing orange and pink as the sun started to set. We grabbed a table near the edge. I ordered a beer, she got a glass of rosé, and her friends were already halfway through a bottle, clearly in a good mood. At first, the conversation was normal, work stories, office gossip, jokes about terrible dates, nothing unusual. Then Lauren leaned forward with a grin and asked if there were any wedding updates, if I had finally popped the question. Natalie laughed, but it didn't feel natural. It was tight, forced. I could hear it. "Not yet," she said quickly. Samantha jumped in almost immediately, saying it had already been 3 years and asking what I was waiting for, saying she wasn't getting any younger. I felt my jaw tighten, but I stayed quiet, just took another sip of my beer and looked away toward the skyline. Natalie shrugged and said, "Maybe I just wasn't ready yet. Or maybe I was just broke." Brittany said it like a joke, and all 3 of them laughed loudly, like it was the funniest thing in the world. I looked over at Natalie. She was smiling too, but she didn't correct them. She didn't stop it. Lauren tried to soften it, saying they were just joking, and that maybe I was saving up, that these things take time. Samantha leaned back and added, "Saving up for what? A ring from a mall store? One of those installment payment plans?" More laughter filled the air, and Brittany was almost in tears from laughing so hard. Natalie's eyes briefly met mine, and I caught a flicker of something in her expression. Maybe guilt, maybe embarrassment. But she didn't step in, didn't defend me, didn't ask them to stop. Instead, she just smiled faintly and took a slow sip of her wine like nothing unusual was happening. Then she finally said it. "Oh, poor guy. He can't even afford an engagement ring." The table exploded. Her friends lost it completely, laughing out loud, one of them snorting while another slapped the table like it was the funniest thing they had ever heard. I felt something shift inside me, something cold settling deep in my chest. It wasn't anger at first. It was worse than that. It was disappointment, heavy and quiet, the kind that doesn't fade quickly. I carefully placed my beer down, not aggressively, not trying to draw attention, just slowly and deliberately. I didn't argue. I didn't create a scene. I just stood up, took my jacket from the chair behind me, and walked away. "Babe, wait," Natalie called out after me, but I didn't turn back. I didn't even glance over my shoulder. As I moved through the crowd toward the exit, I could still hear her friends laughing behind me. Someone bumped into me on the way out and muttered an apology, but I barely reacted. I stepped outside and started walking home. A 2-mile walk with no Uber, no bus, just me and my thoughts, hands deep in my pockets as I replayed everything over and over again. The way she smiled, the way she let them humiliate me, and then joined in like I was nothing more than a joke they could all share. That night, I didn't answer her calls, and I didn't answer the next morning either. By Sunday afternoon, my phone was flooded with messages. "Natalie, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it like that. Natalie, they were just joking. You know how they are. Natalie, please just talk to me. I feel awful. Natalie, you're overreacting." That last one hit differently and actually made my blood boil. I finally replied on Monday during my lunch break, just a simple message saying I needed space. She immediately asked how much space. I told her I didn't know yet. She accused me of ignoring her and said it wasn't mature, but I didn't respond after that. Eventually, the messages stopped. I buried myself in work because my startup was in the middle of a major funding round, and I was the lead engineer on a critical product feature that could decide everything. 14-hour workdays became normal, and I barely left the office, even sleeping on the break room couch twice, because it felt easier than going back to an empty apartment and sitting with my thoughts about her. My coworkers started noticing. My manager, Andrew, pulled me aside one afternoon and asked if I was okay because I looked completely drained. I told him I was fine, just focused. He asked if it was about Natalie. I shrugged and said we were on a break. He offered to talk if I needed it, but I said not really, and he respected that, which I appreciated. 2 weeks passed, then 3, and slowly I started feeling numb about everything, even questioning if I had overreacted, if maybe it was just a harmless joke and I was being too sensitive. But every time I thought about going back, I remembered her smile while they laughed, and how she didn't defend me, how she called me poor guy like I was some kind of joke. Then, 3 weeks after everything happened, she suddenly showed up at my office. It was a Thursday afternoon, around 2 p.m., and I was in the middle of a code review with 2 junior engineers when our receptionist, Kyle, leaned into the open workspace and said, "Hey, someone's here to see you," clearly uneasy. I looked up from my laptop and asked who it was. "Natalie," he replied. My stomach sank. "Tell her I'm busy," I said. He hesitated. "She's already in the lobby, and she said it's important. She's been waiting about 20 minutes. I sighed, saved my work, and said I'd be down in 5 minutes. When I reached the lobby, Natalie was standing near the front desk, visibly nervous, wearing the green dress I always liked, the one she usually saved for special occasions. Her hair was done, makeup carefully applied, like she had really thought this through. "Hey," she said softly. "What are you doing here?" I asked. "I needed to see you," she said. "You won't answer my calls." "I told you I needed space. It's been 3 weeks." Her eyes were red, like she had been crying recently. "I miss you. I can't do this anymore," she said. I crossed my arms. "You humiliated me in front of your friends, Natalie." "I know," she said quickly. "I'm so sorry. I was drunk, and they were being stupid, and She paused, swallowing hard. "I didn't mean it. You have to believe me. I would never intentionally hurt you." "But you did," I said. "I know, and I feel sick about it every day since. I can't sleep, I can't focus at work. Please just give me a chance to make it right." I was about to respond when the elevator behind me dinged. A group stepped out. My CEO, Richard, our lead investor, Catherine, and 2 senior engineers I had worked with since the beginning. They were laughing, shaking hands, in good spirits. Catherine Wu, who had just committed $8 million to our Series A, spotted me and smiled. "There he is," she said, walking over with her hand extended. "The man of the hour." Natalie's eyes widened slightly. "Great work on the demo yesterday," Catherine continued, shaking my hand firmly. She turned to Richard. "This guy's the reason I signed. That feature he built is what sold me. If you ever lose him, you're in serious trouble." Richard grinned and clapped my shoulder. "We're not planning to. We actually just gave him a promotion. VP of Engineering, announced internally this morning." Natalie's face went pale. Catherine shook my hand again. "Congratulations again. Looking forward to what you build next." "The board is very excited." She glanced at Natalie. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. No problem, I said. They walked out still talking, and the lobby went quiet. Natalie stared at me. VP of Engineering? Yeah, I said. As of last week. You didn't tell me? You didn't ask, I replied. Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. I could see her mind trying to process it, trying to reconcile the version of me she used to mock with the one standing in front of her now. How much do VPs make here? She asked quietly. Enough, I said. Enough for what? I didn't answer. Her eyes filled with tears. You've been able to afford a ring this whole time, haven't you? I told her I had managed to afford many things in my life, so she asked why I hadn't done it then. I replied that I wanted to be sure I was choosing someone who truly respected me, not someone who would allow her friends to insult me and even join in with them. She visibly recoiled as if the words had physically struck her. I explained that I had been saving for a home, Natalie, not just a ring. My plan was to propose with both a ring and the keys to a house because I wanted to give her a real future, stability, and a life we could build together. A tear slipped down her face, then another, as she said she never knew. I told her she never asked either. She just assumed I was a broke guy with no direction, someone not good enough for her. She insisted that wasn't fair, but I reminded her of her own words, how she had called me a poor guy who couldn't even afford an engagement ring. She broke down completely, covering her mouth as she sobbed and kept apologizing, saying she had been drunk, insecure, and stupid, and that she could never take it back. I felt a deep sting watching her, but I didn't move closer. I stayed where I was and told her she should leave. She begged me not to end things, saying we could fix it and she would do anything. But I told her she had already done what mattered and I couldn't erase it. She asked if 3 years meant nothing, and I told her it ended the moment she decided I wasn't worth defending. She stood there for a long time, tears and mascara running down her face before finally turning away and walking out as her heels echoed on the floor. I sat back down at my desk with shaking hands while a junior engineer asked if I was okay. I said I was fine, even though I wasn't, but I knew I would be. A week later, I received a message from Lauren, apologizing for what had been said that night, admitting they had all been drunk and out of line, and I read it once before deleting it. 2 days later, Brittany sent another message saying she felt awful, and that they had just been joking, hoping I could forgive them, and I blocked her without responding. Natalie tried calling several times over the following month, but I never answered and deleted every voicemail without listening. Eventually, the calls stopped. Later, I heard through a mutual friend that she had told others what happened, with some feeling guilty and others dismissing it as drama. I didn't care what anyone thought anymore. 2 months later, I closed on a house with 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms, and a big backyard with a deck just 10 minutes from my office, exactly what I had been working toward. I sent a photo to my brother, and he immediately called me, saying I had actually done it, and I simply said yes. How do you feel? Good. Really good, actually. You handling everything all right? Yeah, I said while glancing around the empty living room. I'm better than okay. Proud of you, man. I hung up, lowered myself onto the hardwood floor with my back against the wall, and just breathed. For the first time in months, I actually felt all right. Like I had made the right decision, like I had stepped away from something that would have eventually broken me. I still thought about Natalie sometimes, wondered if she was seeing someone new, wondered if she ever told the next guy what had happened, wondered if she ever learned from it. But mostly, I just felt relief. Work started improving too. The promotion came with a solid raise and equity that would vest over 4 years. I began mentoring junior engineers, led my team through 2 major product launches, and Catherine introduced me to more investors in her circle. My career was moving forward in ways I never expected. I went on a couple of dates, nothing serious. A woman named Hannah I met at a coffee shop, another from a dating app who worked in design. They were both nice, but I wasn't ready for anything serious yet, and that felt okay. About 6 months after everything fell apart, I ran into Natalie at a coffee shop near Green Lake. It was a Saturday morning. I was there to meet my brother for a run. She was in line ahead of me wearing workout clothes and sunglasses, looking different somehow. Thinner, more tired, with dark circles under her eyes that the glasses couldn't fully hide. She saw me first, and for a moment I thought about turning around, but before I could decide, she walked over. "Hi," she said. "Hey, how are you?" "Good, you." "I'm okay." She hesitated, shifting her weight nervously. "I heard you bought a house." "Yeah." She nodded slowly, staring down at her coffee. "That's great, really. You deserve it." I didn't respond right away. I think about that night a lot, she said quietly. What I said, what I didn't say, what I should have said. She looked up and I could see regret sitting in her eyes. I was awful to you, and I'm sorry. I know I've said it before, but I need you to know I mean it. I really do. Okay. I hope you're happy, she said, her voice breaking a little. I really do. You deserve someone who sees your worth, who appreciates everything you are. I just nodded. Thanks. She waited like she wanted more from me, but when I didn't say anything else, she gave a small, sad smile. Take care of yourself, she said, then turned and walked away before I could answer. I stood there for a moment, holding my empty cup, watching her disappear down the street. Feeling something settle inside me, not love, not anger, just quiet closure. My brother arrived a few minutes later, stretching and asking if I was ready to run. Yeah, I said. Let's go. We ran the loop around Green Lake, 3 miles of fresh air and open sky. Afterward, he asked if I wanted breakfast, and I said sure. We went to a nearby diner, had pancakes and coffee, and talked about nothing important. Later that afternoon, I went back to my house, the one I bought for myself, the one with 3 bedrooms, a backyard, and enough space for whatever future I decided to build. I sat on the back deck with a beer, watching the sun go down, and I realized something simple. I didn't need her to see my worth. I already knew it, and that was enough.